to Let's Talk That Real. First of all, I would like to thank you for even inviting me into your home to do this. I genuinely appreciate it.
Oh no, my pleasure.
Honestly,
I'm really excited.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because I already know this is going to be so insightful.
Yeah.
Like, your experience is such a short space of time. A lot has happened,
Yeah,
I could
honestly.
imagine, you
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
and I just feel like it's important for women, black women in particular, to hear your story.
Oh.
So I want to address you as Dr. Haille.
Yeah.
Is that your title?
Yeah, Dr. Mcfarlane, Dr. Haille, whatever.
My first question for you, let's take it back to the beginning of your studies. I think not even studies actually. I want to know when you knew that you was going to be a doctor. And the reason why I'm asking is because you're very young.
Yeah.
So I want to know, is this something that you've been wanting to do from early? Was this a conviction from God? Was this something that, you know, from when you was a little girl, you knew? When did you know, okay, I want to be a doctor?
So, a lot of people who are like doctors, a lot of them will say, oh, you know, like my dad was a doctor, my granddad was a doctor, like, I come from families of medics, or they kind of, I've always wanted to be a doctor. It wasn't like that for me. I have no medics in my family. Neither of my parents went to university.
Are you the first doctor
so I'm
in
the
your
first
family?
doctor in my family, yeah, in my immediate family, like my mum, dad, and my brothers. My parents always wanted me to go to uni from young, and that was kind of something that they'd always kind of said to me, that, you know, we'd really like you to have the opportunity to go to university, because they never did. So no, it wasn't a case of I knew, like, when I was little. I didn't know what I wanted to be at all. I think I've always been an indecisive person, so I kept changing my mind. And then did my GCSE, still didn't know what I wanted to be.
Oh, well, okay. So even after GCSEs, you
even
wasn't
GCSE
like...
had no idea what I wanted to do. I always enjoyed sciences, and I was always kind of good at sciences.
Was that your strong point lesson?
Yes, I would say the running theme has kind of always been science. GCSE English I really enjoyed, and I was quite good at it, but I didn't enjoy it like I did the sciences. I didn't decide to take it like for A level or anything. I remember speaking to my careers advisor at my school, and she was trying to like be like, okay, like, so what do you want to do? And I kept being like, I don't know. And she was like, I was like, oh, maybe I'll like do like lab work, or like be like a lab scientist, I'll do biology or something like that. I was never that child at school that was super clever, ever.
What? I find that hard to
No,
believe.
honestly, I always coasted through the middle sets, like middle set, lowish of middle set, kind of come up from bottom set, but I never ever got higher than middle set.
Wow.
Yeah, even at primary school, would never got higher than middle set. And then from year 7 to 9 was in middle set for everything, for maths, for English, for everything. Like I said, was just average, like was not. You know, it was not brainy, was not naturally brainy at all.
Wow.
So even like, you know, when you're at primary school and you do like the if you're gonna go to a grammar school, you've got to do that test. My parents were literally like, no.
I would have genuinely thought that, like, from young you were just this smart girl, always doing well in her exams and stuff.
No, honestly, I literally coasted throughout most of my school life. I remember the first time I got put in the top set was for maths, and I was in halfway through year 10. That was my first top set I'd ever been in before. But I knew that I had to work hard to stay in it, because I was not someone who was naturally bright, and if I let myself go, I would slip back down.
So it didn't come naturally to you. You were the kind of person that you had to constantly keep.
I had to work 10 times harder than everyone else in top set, because I just did not. I wasn't naturally bright. I just had to work really hard to get what I wanted to get.
So, just to recap, so you're saying that during your education, like in school and stuff, you didn't know what you wanted to do.
No.
You were just skating by, like
I was just skating by.
College. You said you're having a conversation with your career advisor.
So it was when I got my GCSEs, and I was shocked. I think my parents were shocked, my teachers were shocked, everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
So I got straight A's at my GCSE. I got 5 A stars and 5 A's, I think it was.
Wow.
I remember just crying in the hall myself when I got it. And it was at that point that I was like, okay, maybe I could do something.
Right.
And I went and spoke to my careers advisor, and she was like, you know, Haille, she said, you've been skirting around it. She was like, you are picking careers around medicine because you're too scared to go through it. She was like, you keep picking things that are kind of like semi-related to it but just not the real thing. Like you wanted to do biomedical sciences and you wanted to do like this thing and that thing. She was like, just go for it. She was like, if you don't get it, you don't get it, but stop beating around the bush. Like just go for it. It's clearly what you want to do, but you actually never, I can see it's what you want to do because you keep saying that, you know, you want something that's, you know, patient related, but you don't want to do medicine. You don't want to do medicine. You can't do medicine. And she was like, just go for it. And so I did. I just went for it, and I did all the things that I needed to do. So yeah, when I had my GCSEs and I knew that I could, you know, I had the GCSEs to apply for it. Because that's one reason why I didn't think I'd get the GCSEs to apply for it.
Right.
So I had the GCSEs to apply for it. Went through the whole application process. And yeah, I got in.
Then you got into Liverpool.
So so I got, no, originally I didn't actually. Originally, I applied to Liverpool and I applied to Kiel, which is in Stafford. And I was predicted they asked for 3 A's, both Liverpool and Kiel. Kiel asked for A star, A B, and Liverpool asked for 3 A's. And on the day of my A-level results, I got AAB originally. So Liverpool rejected me.
Oh wow, really?
Liverpool rejected me.
Where you went to study?
They rejected me initially. Kiel accepted me with AAB. They took a lower score. And it's amazing how God works with that.
Yeah, God does work in funny ways.
But Liverpool rejected me. But I went into school and I was gutted because at the time when it was time to pick up our results, I hadn't heard from Kiel yet, so all I know that I'd been rejected from my uni. And I went into school and my history teacher came up to me because that's where I got the B. And she was like, there's no way you got a B in that exam. She was like, you worked too hard for it, all your mock tests were A's. Like she was like, I'm putting it in for a remark. She was like, there's no way.
She wasn't having it.
She was like, I'm not having it. She was like, there's no way you got a B in that exam. She was like, you know, I would help other students with their exam techniques. And she was like, there's no way, it doesn't make any sense. So she put it in for a remark and I needed 3 marks to get up to an A, and I got those exact 3 marks.
That's amazing.
It's amazing how
wow, that's so good.
3 marks I needed and 3 marks.
What is so beautiful is that your teacher genuinely believed in you so much that she fought tooth and nail. Not a lot of teachers would have.
And if it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't be where I was today. So shout out, Miss.
Yeah, shout out.
St. Anne's Catholic High School for Girls.
So we get into uni. Now what I want to know is, you studied was it 4 or 5 years? Was your course? 6? Wow!
So 5 years of my course, but I did a master's on top.
You're messing. So for 6 years you studied in Liverpool.
So I did 5 years in Liverpool, 1 year in London.
Okay, 5 years in Liverpool, 1 year in London. I want to know, you're basically about to start this new career. Like from the because you're doing the course, you're on this journey, you literally signed up for 6 years of your life. I want to know how it was mentally, spiritually, the ups and downs that you went through that journey, because we all knew the #1 goal for you, because you took the course, was to be a doctor. So at some point, was there any like doubt in your mind, like, is this the right career choice? If this is too much, I can't handle it. Like, what year was the hardest year for you?
Absolutely. I think for me it was different stages of going through medical school was hard. So when I first got in, obviously medicine is for the elite, I'm not going to lie. It's an elitist subject.
It's an elitist subject.
The people that get into medical school typically are people that have gone to private schools, that have gone to grammar schools, you know, people who come from families and families of doctors. So you know, and schools that churn out medical applicants to medicine. So there are some schools that are literally, they just churn out, like they're just so used to getting people into medical school, they employ people to do personal statements, to do the entry exams that you need to do. They actually employ people to do that, to get people into medical school. So for me, when I first arrived at medical school, and I came from like just a regular state school in Enfield, in like the outskirts of London. Shout out Enfield. From the outskirts of London. My school was just one of them. Don't get me wrong, it was a very good school. And at the time when I left, it was the best like non-selective school in the borough. So it was a very good school. We had an amazing head teacher who, you know, really fought tooth and nail for us. But I just it was just a regular school. You know, just applied like you did through the council and got in. So for me, it was like a big imposter syndrome going in, because I was surrounded by people who'd all paid for their education, or
Right.
had gone to grammar schools, who, you know, gone to these amazing schools that you hear about, and, you know, boys from Eton and all those kind of things.
You know, though, sorry to cut you off, but even with you saying that, it's like already there was I like to say the world telling you you're not supposed to be here.
100%.
Because naturally you would feel that way, right? Like you said, there's people that have paid for their education. Parents, you know, have a background of medicine, and you're from this state school coming into this with all these people. So I can imagine from early, right, you were thinking, am I in the right place?
I literally was like, this is mad. Like, all these people are, you know, I thought were so much cleverer than me. Like, you know, my school didn't produce medical school applicants, you know. They got people into uni, but they didn't get people into medicine like that. They didn't, you know. And my year at school actually was like what some people call it, the landmark year.
Right.
Because in my year at school we had one person go to Oxford, one person go to Cambridge, me go to medicine, and someone go and do veterinary medicine as well. So
a handful of people.
So we had a handful of, like, you know. And this is one of the first years that had ever happened, so it was a big. You know,
I could imagine. So was it all within the same year? Wow, that's amazing.
All within our same.
Young achievers in the same year.
Exactly. So yeah, when I first arrived, I just didn't feel like I fitted in. I didn't know anyone else from the state school.
Yeah.
Like, all my friends had all gone to, like, grammar schools or private schools, so I didn't know anyone else that was like me.
Right.
So it was huge imposter syndrome at first. And my first and second years at uni were definitely the hardest.
Really?
I struggled
Why?
so much, and there was a point I remember in my second year where I called my dad and I was like, I'm coming home and I'm not coming back.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not coming back.
And was this in second year?
This was in my second year, and I struggled because at the end of my first year, I failed an exam. And this is, again, what we were talking about before, like, at school I'd never, like I said, I'm never the brightest, but I'd never failed an exam. I'd never had to necessarily do a resit because I'd done so badly in an exam. So I'd never had to resit before. I'd always worked by the motto of, you know, Hayley, you've got here because you've worked hard. You're not because you're naturally bright, but you put the work in, you get the grades. That's how it'd always gone in my life. And for the first time, I put the work in, but I wasn't seeming to get the grade, and it didn't make any sense to me because I'm working so hard, and I know I'm a hard worker. I know I'm someone that works hard, so I know it's not because I'm not working hard enough, because I am. And I failed the exam, and I was like, okay, right, fine, blip. Everyone fails an exam, fine. Resat it, passed it, got into second year, no issues. And then end of my second year, and I always had prided myself, because in our second year we went into clinical placement for the first time. And I loved it, and I always prided myself on talking to patients, and that was where my strength was actually interacting with patients.
So you are also, I feel like you do definitely have this aura about you which connects to people, and not a lot of people can do the course, but I think it's also having
that, and I loved it. The patient contact for me, the books was, you know, I had to do it to pass the exams, but for me it was the patient contact that I love, and I found that out in second year, and we have an exam that essentially assesses that. So it's
really how you are with
so it assesses your clinical communication skills, assesses how you examine a patient. It's still a medical exam, you still need to, you know the examinations to be able to pass it, but it's very much about, you know, your patient manner and how you are with patients. So, you know, that was, I thought that I would, that's it, OSCEs on my exam, I'd smash it. And I didn't necessarily fail the whole exam, but I failed a component of the exam. So I failed the first cycle. And after that I was like, that's when I called my dad and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because this is what I'm meant to be good at, and if I'm failing what I'm good at, then what have I got for me? Do you know what I mean? I can take failing the book exam, but when I fail something that I feel that I'm good at, I don't know where to go from here. It was 2 cycles of the exam, so it doesn't actually count as a whole fail. And then it came to the written exams at the end of my second year, and I failed another exam. And I was like, okay. I was like, time to go home. I was like, Enfield baby, I'm coming back for you.
Okay, so this was in second year. If you failed an exam, so is there, like,
the way it works is
how does it work?
If you fail an exam, you get a chance to resit it.
Okay.
If you fail the resit, you're out.
No way. Second
year. Unless you any year. So first year all the way to 5th year.
Wait, so if you failed a major exam and failed the reset, say in the last year, the last round, you could still get dropped out.
Well, the thing is, what they do is that theoretically, yes, that's how it goes.
Okay.
But obviously, with medical school, with especially medicine and the course, we obviously pay a lot of money, but they also invest a lot of money into us. So if you do fail your resit, a lot of the time, they will find a way, some kind of extenuating circumstance. But theoretically, yes, if you fail the resit, you're out. Like you have to. So if you fail, not necessarily you're out, but you have to resit that year.
Right, a whole other year.
A whole year of doing the same thing,
which is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That for me was really, really, really tough time. Really tough time. And especially in my first year, I wasn't a Christian. Well, I was raised Catholic.
Okay, you're raised Catholic.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, so I've always known God. But I, after my confirmation when I was 14, I was kind of like, yeah, no, Catholicism wasn't for me.
Right.
And I didn't really know what else or where else to do or to go. So my first year was really like, you know, I mean, I didn't know what to fight. I didn't kind of dealt with it myself.
Yeah.
And then it was my second year, I think. Yeah, it was my second year, where a friend of mine invited me to go to his church with him, and kind of I began to like connect with God in a way that I never had.
Was this the second year?
Second year of uni, yeah.
That's beautiful.
So in a way that I never kind of had before. So it definitely helped.
Wow.
But definitely, absolutely, it was definitely got me through it. Again, I don't think I would have.
If it wasn't for that.
If it wasn't for that, after failing the OSCE and then failing the written exam.
That says a lot.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is a lot. Do you know what I mean? This is absolutely
I feel like what you're saying is so important, because at first your mentality was, I need to work hard, I need to work hard, it's my brains that's getting me through this, is my dedication and hard work. From what you're telling me, it's like the shift started to happen at the second year in terms of, I need more than just for me to be smart. There's something missing. Would you feel
absolutely like, clearly I'm trying to do this by myself and I can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That because the thing, my issue, you know, sometimes when people fail an exam and they're like, oh, fair enough, like I didn't put enough work in. That was never my problem, because, and it never had been throughout my life, because I know I work hard.
Yeah.
I think the main issue was I wasn't working in the right way.
Oh, okay.
But I was working hard. That could never ever take that away from me. That I know. So it didn't make any sense to me as to why I can't put in any more effort than I am. I can't put any more. There's only 24 hours in a day, and I am literally revising for 16 of those hours, and the other, do you know what I mean, how 8 hours I'm asleep.
So like you said, it wasn't the working hard aspect. There was something else missing. I'm sure at first you thought, no, this is about the working hard.
I clearly have to work 20 hours a day and sleep 4, because I'm really not, but that wasn't it. It wasn't about the amount of hours that I was putting in, and you know, and I think, like I said, like I found a great church in Liverpool, and I think one of the major things for me, even more than obviously finding that church was great, but I was in a friendship group of 4, and my girls are Christian.
Oh, so wow, you see,
I was in a friendship group of girls that came from really strong Christian families, really strong Christian backgrounds. Shout out to my girls.
Amen. Shout out to your girls.
But yeah, and so that was a huge thing for me, because I was in a prayerful house. You know, I was in a house where something goes wrong, you ask for prayer. Do you know what I mean? I'd never really known that. I went to a Catholic school, so like I said, I went to a church school. But if you were struggling, the answer was kind of never go to prayer. That was just never an answer that I'd heard before in my life. It wasn't like, again, growing up in a Catholic school, primary school, secondary school, that just wasn't what I was taught. And it was only when I kind of found my friendship group that was like, you know, people were saying to me, oh, I'll pray for you. Yeah. That was mad to me, like, that was crazy.
Different type of love.
It was a different type of love, and it was, you know.
Because that is love.
It was, and it was, you know, having my girls there, and seeing how godly they were, and how, you know, how, I mean, they all went to different churches, and they were kind of slightly different denominations of Christianity, but, you know, my girl would get up on a Saturday morning and go to church. My other 2 girls would get up on a Sunday morning, they were out of the house, going to church by themselves, you know, like young people at university, and they were getting up and going to church.
That's their priority.
That was their priority, you know what I mean? Saturday morning she's gone to church all day, she's not back till the afternoon. You know,
wow.
you know what I mean? Sunday morning they're out, they've gone to church.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, was just
mind-blowing.
Crazy.
Your parents not telling you it's time to go to church. They're choosing within themselves
to get up and go to church, and that was crazy for me to see that, and it was like, I was like, and you know, that was a difference between me and them. Do you know what I mean? There was clearly a difference, and that was definitely, I think, a huge part of my uni process was having that. So.
You know, I think the 2 most important things that I think I'm gathering from this is honestly faith having that personal relationship with God to carry you through this, because like you said, you can't do this on your own.
100%.
You probably, doesn't matter how smart, no matter how hard working you are, you cannot do this on your own. You need the fundamental, you need the extra strength to remember this is bigger than you. Another thing, community.
Oh, definitely.
And I think a lot of people, we don't speak about community, especially in your studies, right?
Yeah,
you are the company that you keep. So the fact that you even say that you was around a bunch of God-fearing women is phenomenal for me. That's not a lot of people's stories.
I know, and it was just having like my girls there with me. It was just, I mean, we're 4 black women, and even to the point where, like, as we know, obviously we live in the UK. We live in a world of microaggressions, and you know what I mean. Right? So it was, you know, that being able to come home, and to chat to my girls about, you know, the fact that this white consultant would not look me in the eye today. Yeah, just, you know, being able to come home and chat to my girls about my experiences, and they get it because I put money on it. That's happened to them either this week or last week. It's just, it definitely carried me through, and I would really have struggled in uni
if it wasn't for that.
Really have struggled.
Wow, you know, you're kind of leading me on to my next question, which is about equality in your workplace as you're newly qualified in this area. And I think, to go back on what you said, which I think is such a blessing in your end, is that you didn't have to go through this on your own. Like you said, I think a lot of people have gone through a scenario where they had a racial, you know what I mean, interaction, but they couldn't really tell anybody because no one would understand. But you had a group of girls that went through the exact same thing, not making you feel like you're crazy. No, this is what it is. This is what I'm going through. And what I would like to ask you, Hayley, now that you're new in this job as a doctor in the workplace, do you think there is a problem?
I'm originally from London, as you just heard. I studied in Liverpool, and I now live in Birmingham. So the change has been mad of where I've lived, and there have been a number of reasons of how I ended up in Birmingham.
Wow, okay, talk us through it.
A lot of that being racial inequality.
Wow.
So obviously I came from London. I'm from Enfield, and if those of you who don't know Enfield is a hugely multicultural place. So there are a lot of black people, a lot of Turkish people, a lot of Asian people, a lot of Somali people. It's proper mad. So for me, at my school, because I went to an all-girls school. My school, white people were the minority. If you're from Enfield, you know this about St. St. Anne's is known for being a real black girl school. Like, they were ratchet.
That school sounds like our Hillcrest in Bartley Creek. If you're from Birmingham and you know Hillcrest, you know.
My school was known in Enfield. I mean, even not in Enfield, even just in London, people know about St. Anne's girls. But so for me, I'd grown up in the community and always lived born in Tottenham, grown up in Enfield, so always grown up in the community, but I'd always known black people to be around me. I'd not grown up in Cheshire where, you know, I'm used to being the only black person in the space. That was not me, because I was never the only black person in the space, you know what I mean? Go to my local town full of black people, even the white people that went to my school and, you know, my white friends from school, they were so used to being around black people, so they knew we weren't. It wasn't not normal to them. You know what I mean? They knew about braids. In the playground, if they saw a braid on the floor, they'd pick it up and give it back to the person it belonged to. They know about it because they've grown up. You know, you go to birthday parties, you have jollof. So my white friends knew about it. So it was very, very strange for me going to uni. And being in an environment where there was a lot of white people, and I didn't get it.
Liverpool is predominantly, people that don't know, it is predominantly a
very white
city.
Area, very white city.
It is.
Liverpool's one thing, but medicine being a very white
course,
white profession. I'm sitting in a seminar room, I'm the only black person in the room, and I'm just a bit like, you know what I mean? And there's white girls coming up to me trying to touch my hair, and I'm like,
are you being serious?
100%.
Hey.
100%. And for me, this is mad because my white friends back home, they don't touch my hair because they get it.
Yeah, because they get
Not because, you know what I mean, it's not weird to them. They know this since they've grown up. So for me, it was really, really mad experience in that. And I remember, like, my flatmates when I was in first year, there's 2 white girls. And they were just fascinated by it. I mean, for one of them, she'd grown up in a little village in Lancashire,
Right.
And she'd never actually seen. I met a black person before.
Are you being no?
She went to a school.
No.
She went to a school. There were a couple of mixed race people in her entire school.
Right.
But a fully black person. I was her
girl.
first black friend. I was first black person she'd actually had some kind of relationship.
You're joking.
with. Yeah.
Nah, I feel like you're joking.
No,
Are
I'm
you being
being
serious?
for
She's
real.
never
I'm
seen.
being
She's
for
never
real.
seen us.
She'd never had like a conversation with a black person before. She'd seen them on TV.
She's seen
and
them
she
on
had
TV.
mixed race people in her school.
Right.
An actual black person she'd never sat down and had a conversation or been friends with, or she'd never know that.
Wow.
And it was mad for me. It was really, it was a real big adjustment for me. And one that I literally didn't know at the time was going to now be the rest of my career and the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
It was mad, and in Liverpool again, majority of the doctors and majority of the patients were always white. So we always say, in my friendship with my girls, before coming to Birmingham, I had never treated a black patient. Ever in my life.
Stop.
I'd never taken blood off a black patient. I'd never treated a black patient. I'd never had a black patient as one of my patients. Ever. Some of my friends had. But no more than 2 in their career. Me personally, never.
Nothing.
Never taken.
So
the first time I took blood off a black patient was in Birmingham.
You're blowing up. That
5 years of medical school.
No.
Yeah.
5 years of medical. You did not treat a black patient.
And that's not to say they're not black people in Liverpool, because they are.
Because there is black people in Liverpool.
But
yeah.
I just never took blood off them and never interacted with them. And that's me being in 1, 2, 3 hospitals across Merseyside in my 5 years. I did a couple of years in one hospital, but yeah.
That's honestly, that's just threw me off.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
In that, okay, so you're saying you're in this white predominant course, first and foremost, white predominant hospitals. Did you at some point feel out of, I'm trying to think of the word, like out of place, or
I definitely felt out of place.
should I be here?
Yeah.
Is this man's game for real?
Yeah, 100%. Because and it's actually my favourite story. It's actually really, really interesting. So, what we found, like I said, one thing me and my girls would always talk about, and we have to laugh at these things, otherwise you actually will cry. But one of the things we used to joke about was, you'd be talking to a consultant on a ward round, and it'd be you and your white. Because you'd have to go in pairs. Like,
right, you're not
in
going
younger years, you'd be in pairs. So you and your white partner, and you'd ask the consultant a question like I'm speaking to you.
Right.
But the consultant's answering to my white partner.
Whoa.
So I've asked the question, but he's answering to my white partner. So that was something that often happened.
Are you being serious?
I'm being for real.
So there'll be two
of us were standing next to each other.
You would be talking.
I'd be asking a question,
and then I would be like, "Oh no, this is what's
Yeah.
wrong with me. This is."
He's directing the answer towards the white.
How did it feel the first time?
The first time was a bit like, did this just happen? Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it really remember the first time being when I was in second year. So I already feel like I don't belong here.
Yeah,
I'm already on a course with people who have paid for their education and have gone to these amazing, grammar schools, and I feel are so much cleverer than me. I already feel like I don't belong here because I've already failed a couple of exams, and I go into hospital and then this consultant doesn't speak to me as if I don't deserve to be here. So it definitely took a toll. But like a lot of things, you just pull your socks up and you get on with it and you just continue. And it was really interesting because in my 4th year at medical school, it's like a thing that you do at medical school is you have what's called an elective. So it's where you have either a 4 or a 6 week, or some medical schools is 8 weeks. You have an 8-week period to essentially organise your own placement in whatever speciality you want, wherever you want to go in the world. So you can do wherever. So you can do it in England if you want to, but you've just got to go to whatever. Find the consultant, find a hospital that will take you on, find a specialty that you want to do, and spend 8 weeks as a medical student there.
Oh, okay.
So me and my girl, we decided to go to St Vincent in the Caribbean.
Wow, no way!
Yeah, so we decided to join.
Is this in 4th year?
End of my 4th year.
Wow, you said we're going away.
And we just finished our finals because in Liverpool they used to do your finals in 4th year.
Yeah.
So we just finished our finals and we just said
So cool.
So
did you spend 8 weeks?
So we spent 4 weeks there,
okay.
and we spent just under 2 weeks in Barbados. So the 4 weeks technically wasn't meant to be a holiday because we were actually on placement.
Right.
It was a holiday because I literally spent like 3 days in the hospital and then didn't go back. But but yeah, it was meant to actually be placement. And then our time in Barbados was actually meant to be like a holiday because it was only a short flight across. So yeah, and it was really interesting. Obviously, so we were in St Vincent, and I did obstetrics and gynecology as my placement. And obviously, St Vincent being a black country, and there was actually one of my white colleagues from Liverpool Medical School who also chose to do the same. Him and his girlfriend. So him and his girlfriend both white, and they chose to go to St Vincent as well for their elective. So it was, you know, we knew that I wasn't necessarily friends with him, but I knew him. He was in my year. I'd spoken to him. I'd been in a few seminar classes with him, so I was aware of who he was.
Yeah.
And he was also doing obstetrics and gynecology, so it was me and him. And what was so interesting is we were having a conversation with one of the registrars there, a black registrar, who was, you know, explaining to this guy. He was like, you know, as a white man, you have it so much easier. Like, just breaking it down to him, basically saying, just telling him straight. It was like, you know, at the end of the day, this white man's in his country now, so you got to be, you know what I mean. Yeah. So he was telling, you know, as a white man, you have it so much easier, whether you're over here or whether you're in England. You know, especially in the Caribbean, you know, there is, you know, still, you know, in some places the white people are seen as, you know, elite. But especially in England, you know, he was telling him, you know, you will get so much further than I ever would. Because, and he went, nah, he was the white guy, he was like, nah, that's not true. He was like, you know, this day and age in England, there's equality, you know, everyone's seen the same. And I was just sitting there like, I didn't even, you know, when you're just like, I actually can't bother. You can't bother. I'm not even going to open my mouth to respond to you because it's actually a waste of my breath and my energy. The fact that you think that there's equal opportunities for me and you I can't. I just can't bother. So I was just there asking him. I didn't even say nothing to him. I was just like, okay, fine, whatever.
Wow.
Because I had previously explained to him about, you know, how the story with the consultant and the answer. And he was like, I'm sure. He was like, are you sure? He was like, I'm sure he didn't mean it. I'm sure he probably thought your partner asked the question. But at this point, I was just like, okay.
Because you don't want to see the truth.
I was like, cool, all right. We're not gonna get into this because I've still got to spend like another week with you, and I just need to be civil. Yeah. So yeah, cool. So funny enough, we were on a ward round with this black female. She was like another registrar, and he asked a question, and she answered to me. Mad, innit?
What? Really?
He asked her a question, and she answered to you. To me as if I asked the question.
So
and it wasn't even like she thought it was me because he's a man. I don't like, you know what I mean? He sounds like he's a man and he's Irish, so we definitely don't sound the same. You know what I mean? And she answered to me, and we came out of that clinic, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I see exactly what you mean." And I was like,
you know, you don't.
Light bulb moment.
Sometimes they need to be in that environment, but you know what's mad? That barely happens.
Yeah. Very, very rare. When do you ever get a choice? When do you ever get that to be actually? Because he was now the minority. Because when I'm in a black country. And when I'm in a hospital where there's all black doctors, all black patients, there are no white people. There was no white people in the hospital. So now you're feeling what I'm feeling.
Now you're feeling.
You know what I mean? Now people were staring at him because he's white. Me, I blended in like nothing.
Yeah.
Like they thought I was from St Vincent. Until I opened my mouth, they literally thought I was.
Oh, you're Indian girl.
Yeah. But if I, especially walking down the street, like it was crazy being out there because me and my girl we also went with one of our other friends who's white. So it's three of us. We all share like an apartment. If me and my friend were walking down the street together, no one would look. Obviously, we didn't look any different. We looked like two Vincy girls. Yeah. If we were walking down the street with my white friend, all eyes, everyone's staring. Everyone's staring at us. In the hospitals, you notice. If I was walking with that Irish guy, my partner, you'd notice people staring at him. People staring at me because I'm now like, why are you with a white person? People staring at him like, you're white. Yeah. So he got it by the end of our experience together. Like, you know, like I said, I didn't stay for a lot of it, but the time I did stay, he was like, I get it. Wow. He was like, I get it because people are now. He was like, is it this bad? And I was like, okay, no, people don't literally gawk at me as I walk down the street. No, because obviously there are black people in England, but people were like staring. Everyone was literally stop and stare at him. No, literally, it was crazy. And he was like, is it this bad? I said it's not this bad. I'm not, like, people don't stare at me like that because people have seen black people. Yeah, exactly. But I really have to remember, a lot of these people have never seen a white person before in their life. You know what I mean? They associate white people with royalty. that's what they associate it
that's
with.
what they associate
especially St Vincent still being a colony, I mean, part of the Commonwealth, so it's like that's what they associate it with. So they had not, a lot of them have not seen, and St Vincent is not a touristy island. It's not like Jamaica, it's not like Barbados.
Right.
So it's not an island that gets tourism like that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's
I get it.
The people who live there are from there.
They're from
or
there.
the people who go there are from there who live abroad. So they don't get, and
or have relatives, right?
Exactly. So they don't have the beautiful, you know, white sand Caribbean beaches that you see in Jamaica and Barbados.
Yeah.
Because they're not a touristy island. They're really not. They're really not. So they don't see white people like that.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? They don't see white people on their island like that.
That's
so
mad.
It was mad. That was a mad experience.
That's very mad. I'm so shocked that happened. You rarely hear the reverse psychology.
Absolutely.
That reverse psychology hit me like a ton of bricks.
100%.
Do you feel like that humbled him? That you're
100%. I don't know how much of, I mean, like I said, he wasn't my friend, we weren't close, but I don't know whether that experience moving forward has changed how he views or approaches black people. I don't know because I don't speak to him, but it was, I hope so. I hope that taking him out of his all-white Irish environment and putting him into the middle of a black country, because now you're in my territory.
Cool.
You're in my territory now. Do you know what I mean? This is it. You could not have a tables turned. This is the definition of a tables turned on its head. Do you know what I mean?
That is
literally.
This is
it. You cannot get a more like, let's flip it.
Yeah, you could not get
it than taking a white person to the Caribbean or to Africa. You can't get. Do you know what I mean? Africa, where there's not. Do you know what I mean? Countries where there's not historically a lot of white people.
Absolutely.
Obviously because there are in South Africa.
Yeah.
Stuff, but, you know, you can't get anything more.
You know what's
like
sad
that.
though? I think what's sad to me is that I think it would take a lot of white doctors or people in that profession, right, to be in that environment, like you said, reverse psychology to fully understand. Because you told me before you guys were having this conversation, he was none the wiser. He thought that you were talking rubbish.
He literally be like, no, like, I'm sure you're overthinking it.
No, you have to actually be
in it to see it. And that's even for me, as obviously because I had only ever practiced medicine in the UK, so even though I did have those, you know, those circumstances, they in a sense were normal to me because I'd never known anything that's not like, it's not like I come from the Caribbean.
No, I get it.
And then come into this environment, I'm like, whoa, do you know what I mean? I've only ever known medicine in Liverpool. I've not even known medicine in London, so do you know what I mean? So I've only ever known medicine in a very white environment. So for me, it was amazing and I loved it to be able to treat black patients, to be amongst black doctors. It was just the most, and that's why I'm in Birmingham.
Amen. That's
because
why you're in
I wanted to treat black patients, I wanted to be amongst black doctors, and I couldn't afford to live in London by myself. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to live back home. So
but you know what I say? I'm a little bit shocked though that it's more diverse for you to work here than in London.
Oh no, I don't necessarily think it would be. For me, they were both the same. So I knew there were black people in Birmingham.
You did say London was too expensive, but so Liverpool, Liverpool, versus Birmingham, complete different. The dynamics you would, considering we are an hour and 45 minutes. Considering we're literally an hour and 45 minutes.
The dynamics are mad. Liverpool is majority white doctors, majority white patients.
Wow.
Here, especially in the hospital that I work at, I would actually, I'd say we're 50-50. I would definitely say, I mean, with doctors, I might even say I'm not just saying black, I'm saying black and black and ethnic minorities, but I definitely say mainly black and Asian, to be fair. But I definitely would say black and Asian. I say amongst doctors at my hospital that I work at, black and Asian, I think, have probably a slight majority on white. Patients, I would say it's definitely 50-50.
Okay, patients 50-50.
We have a lot of Asian patients.
But you're saying doctors.
I mean, I don't have the stats, but from what I see, I mean, in my department, I'm thinking of my department, and I'm thinking about so we were talking about juniors and consultants, so there's like different grades of doctors. So amongst juniors, there are definitely more non-white than white. Amongst my team of, I don't even know how many juniors we have in my team, maybe 15. There's definitely more non-white than white.
There's definitely non-white than
more non-white, so black and Asian mainly.
So black
and South Asian mainly. Definitely more. And amongst consultants, 1, 2, 3. I can think off the top of my head. There are no. Out of maybe 10 consultants, there are 3 white consultants. There's definitely 3 white, and I think we do have about 10 consultants. Yeah, about 10.
Really?
No, 3 white consultants. The rest are. We've got 2 black, and the rest are Asian.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be the complete opposite or now, but I guess in a sense it shows more quality.
Yeah, the dynamics, considering, you know, when I worked on in a similar department in Liverpool, there was 1 Asian doctor.
There was 1 Asian doctor?
1 Asian doctor, and the rest were white.
And the rest were
consultants. Consultant-wise, 1 consultant. But even amongst juniors at the team, there was, I'm a doctor then, but they were all white juniors. So all the doctors, all the juniors were white.
And sorry, can you tell us again, within your team now, how many, well not how many, but roughly, like, in terms of, like, culture, like, black, so predominantly, because you said there's 10 in your,
so there's the 10 consultants, so it's 15 juniors and 10 consultants.
15 juniors, 10 consultants.
Yeah, and in terms of white juniors, that's the level that I'm at. I can think of 1, 2, 3 off the top of my head. I have to obviously I go through them. Off the top of my head, I can think of 3 white. 3
and the
white.
rest.
And the rest are, there's 3 white, 3 black, and the rest are Asian. Yeah, and the rest are Asian.
Wow, a lot of Asians, isn't it?
A lot of Asians in the West, a lot of Asians in the West Midlands. A lot of.
Yeah, there is a lot of it. To do fair,
a lot of it. Asians are definitely the minority. The majority out of out of a black and ethnic, so out of like a BAME group. We definitely have predominantly Asian.
Wow, that's mad. To be fair, but like you said though, Birmingham, but West Midlands, it is predominantly Asian.
It is predominantly Asian, but and I think, you know, if you went to, I think it's just demographics, because the West Midlands is very Asian, and if you went to certain parts of, you know, London, there would be a lot more Asians and there'd be a lot more blacks in certain areas. And so if I was to go back home to North London, and if I was to work at North Mid, I know there are a lot of black patients there.
There is a lot of black patients,
yeah, but I wanted to be able to treat patients, and I know, like, this is not, but I wanted to be able to treat ethnic patients. That's what I wanted.
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted to be able to, and I am, you know, I am treating black patients. You know, a lot of, you know, I had a patient on my ward a couple of weeks ago who just reminded me of my granddad so much. This old little Jamaican man, and I would have never gotten that in Liverpool, and that's why I came here. That's what I love. Like,
helping your people there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that experience for you, being able to help people that look like you?
I just love it. I love it because they love it when they see me, and I love
it when they see you. See, that's what it is.
And they, you know,
sorry, you got me excited.
It's just that sense when they know, like, I just care. You can feel the sense of trust between you and them.
That's beautiful.
You can feel that they, a bit like you can feel like a sigh of relief from them when they, you know, when they see that they're being treated by a black doctor. You know, it's just, even when you're talking to them, when you're talking to their family, it's just different, and a little bit of me feels like sometimes when I'm talking to like family members, I feel like they always want to say, "Oh, we're so proud of you," because you don't get it often, do you? I don't even know how to put it into words. It's like, you know, comfort, and, you know, because I know that they've been cheated by the system so badly.
Absolutely.
And just because they're kind of the same, because I have been treated by the system so badly.
You've been dismissed.
So yeah, exactly. And so for me, the feeling that I get knowing that they can feel like, okay, I can just breathe, because I know that when this doctor is treating me, it's not about the colour of my skin.
It's not about the colour of my skin.
It's not.
They care.
They care. So
they're gonna take it seriously.
I know whatever happens, whatever is said, whatever is done, I know that it's not about the colour of my skin, because she's also black. For me, that my patients can feel that when I treat them. Absolutely. It's just life changing for me.
So I feel like we know how it is on the receiving end, right? To have another black person treat us and have that sigh of relief. For you, you're new in this. I can imagine it's so overwhelming, but in the best way. Do you feel that fulfillment? Do you feel like, okay, God, I get it now? And this isn't, and we're gonna get into this later, because I know this isn't the only thing that you want to do, honey. She's got big plans.
This is it. Yes, the answer is yes. I love my job. I love treating my patients. I love I love being a doctor. I love it. I love not for and for me, do you know what it's going to do? I think this might shock you a bit. For me, the title. I don't like the title.
Really, you don't like the title?
Because I'm the kind of person, right, where I hate I hate being the centre of attention. So for me, when people are like, oh my god, you're a doctor, I get it, because you don't see a young black female as a doctor often, so I get it. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be exactly the same. But for me, it's not about the title. It's not. If I could do the job without the title, I'd do it.
Wow.
For me, it's about the job. It's about, and some might say, okay, why didn't you go and do nursing then? Because nursing is all about caring for patients. But for me, it's about it is about having that, not necessarily sense of authority, but knowing that the decisions I make impact someone's care is a big thing to know.
It's a big thing to know.
And it's a lot of pressure on me. It's a lot of responsibility, but also it means that I can fight. I'm more positioned to fight for the right thing for my patients because I'm coming from a place of knowledge and I'm coming from a place of understanding. So I can make those decisions, and I can make decisions from a good place for my patients, and that's the best thing for me. And that's what I love, and that's what I love taking care of my patients. I love making a difference to people's lives, and that's just why I do the job.
I think I want young girls who are even thinking about becoming a doctor or being in the medical field, really take what she's saying. And I like how your answer to why didn't you just become a nurse? Nurse is amazing. It's great.
Nurses save my life on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's
actually on a daily basis.
I'm going to get into that just a minute, actually, because that's a good point. But I like how you're saying, in a sense, yes, I could be a nurse, that's fine, but we also need more. We need more.
And you need people in positions of power.
You need people
in positions of power, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's a big responsibility, because like I was saying before, like, these people's lives, something happens to this patient. If this patient dies, it's on it's my name and my GMC number on their death certificate. Awesome. That patient has died under my care.
That's a flip as well, though.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing, and we as doctors, there is a sense of fear sometimes among us, because we are held to the highest of standards.
Yeah. We
are brought in front of the GMC to answer for our clinical actions a lot. Wow. It's very common for that to happen.
Wow.
So, and you're constantly under not necessarily under watch, but you have to be able to everything. But put it this way: every single thing that I do for my patients, I have to think before I do it. Can I justify this in the court of law? If something was to happen to this patient tomorrow, let's say, so I'm treating a patient today.
Okay.
Something was to happen to this patient tomorrow. It's in the notes. Obviously, we document everything. That's the reason why we have documentation now in hospitals, and why we're so big on that, and why everything has to be documented. But if something happened to this patient tomorrow, and this patient goes to the coroner, that coroner is going to look through their notes with a fine-tooth comb. Everyone that's had involvement in that patient's care is going to be looked at. And if they call me up and they say to me, Hayley, why did you do this? Because they believe that my actions have caused the demise of this patient, I need to be able to answer why I did this in a court of law in front of a judge. That's how you have to think. So in a sense, like, it's a lot. Because I have to be able to justify everything that I do, and think, if I had to go to court, could I say why I'm doing this?
Yeah.
And that's why. But again, on the flip side, being in a position of power doesn't come without those kind of responsibilities and those kind of
I'm glad that you're saying this, because it is a lot. It's it's very easy to say, yes, we need these people, do more, pushing people, but would you say maybe, like, I'm not sure, did you get preparation for that flip side? Because you're telling me this, and common sense will tell you, of course, there's always that side, but I'm just now myself deep in, this is serious. Yeah. There is a lot in your hands.
Yeah.
How did you have to mentally prepare for that? Did you have to...
Do you know what? It's a bit of a tricky situation, because you can't, if you constantly live in fear of the GMC, and the GMC is our governing body, who we have to answer to, essentially. So if you constantly live in fear of the GMC, you will never get anything done, and you will never be productive in the things you do. You will always be, checking with someone else that this is okay to do this, and you will never move on with your life. Like, you will, you can't live in fear because doctors get called upon the GMC, you lose your license, you lose your right to practice medicine in this country, so it's big. And you hear about these things, and you think, oh, these things happen. Doctors lose their licenses for mistakes that are so easy to make. And I don't know if anyone has heard of the Dr Haille-Bria case that happened a couple of years ago. And she was a black doctor. I think she was from Gambia or something like that. But she was a black doctor that young black doctor that had worked in a really busy hospital. I think it was in Leicester. And it was her day back at her job after maternity leave. She'd been off for months, come back after maternity leave, and I think the situation was her consultant or her senior was not on premises, and there was the systems were down that day or something like that. So there was a lot of obstacles in her place. And something happened, I can't remember exactly, like Google it it's a really interesting case, but something happened where basically a patient died as a result of a mistake that anyone could make. And it was something simple like the patient was in the wrong bed, or she thought the patient was in bed 4-2 and the patient was in bed 4-6. And so she didn't realise this, and she'd done something. Do you know what I mean? It was that simple. And she was pulled up in front of the GMC, and she was suspended, and she, almost lost her licence. And I think she did lose her licence, and then she appealed it and got it back.
That must have been devastating.
And for doctors, and there's a lot of things on the medical side of Twitter that stuff like I could we can all see ourselves making that mistake. That mistake that's not an incompetent doctor. That's a doctor who's working understaffed. No superior support in the immediate vicinity. You're dealing with, you've got a whole ward of patients. You're the only doctor. That is a night shift on the NHS. That's a night shift where it's one medical registrar. They're looking after 12 medical wards. There's no consultant on site. You're understaffed. You're three juniors down to you as a medical registrar is the most senior person on a night shift. You are covering all those wards. You're staffed down. You've not got no senior on site. Those things happen. That could be me, and that is scary. It's scary a lot of the time. But what you have to do, you have to put your patients first, and you have to think, okay. If I constantly live in fear of that happening to me, I'd never get anything done. People make mistakes. People make mistakes. And they say, as doctors, they're more than likely you will definitely get complaints from patients. You'll definitely get complaints. And they say, on average, every doctor has some kind of running with the GMC at least once in their career, in their lifetime. Obviously, this is not like a hard and fast rule, but statistically they say, it's not uncommon. So you have to just... you have to get on with it, don't you? You have to still, because at the end of the day, the reason I'm here is to treat my patients.
Bang on.
You know what I mean? If I know that I have done my absolute best for my patient, and I know that everything I do with the good intention of my patient, that will come through in what I've done. That will come. I will never do anything to put my patients at harm.
Bang on.
So, therefore, if I'm living by that principle, I will always be able to justify what I've done.
Bang on.
Because I'm always doing things for the best of my
Bang
patients.
on.
So.
Do you feel like it's harsher judgment? Because what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like, even that case that you just broke down now, like you said, it's not uncommon for something like that to happen. Unfortunately, in her case, the worst of the worst did happen. Do you think there's more harsher judgment? Because I don't think people really speak about that part as well. Like, how you're a doctor, you should know. People that are probably not even in the field.
The pressure. Absolutely. We are held to the highest of standards. And people forget that we're human.
You're literally human.
I'm human, and I don't know everything. I don't. I know a small amount of what there is to know. And I feel like that is true in terms of medicine, and just socially. Just in life. It could be something so unrelated to medicine. And that's a lot of what I was just saying before, why a lot of the time I don't like the title. I don't like telling, and God bless, like, my parents, obviously they're so proud of me. They're
screaming to the rooftop.
They're so proud of me. And like, even like my partner, he's so proud, and he will always tell people. But like, for me, as soon as you say that to someone, there's automatically a stigma they put in their head as the kind of person that I am.
Right.
Oh, she won't get drunk, she won't drink because she's a doctor.
Because she's a doctor.
She doesn't really go out that much. She's a doctor. She's responsible. There's automatically a stigma of the kind of person that I am. Or you earn loads of money.
Yeah.
I don't earn it. I earn at the moment £13 something an hour in the NHS, so I don't earn lots of money.
Real.
Okay, I don't earn lots of money. Being honest, it's an F1.
Nah, you're being
you
so
earn
real.
pennies, you know.
Because it is.
My brother, my brother who is 18 this year and does an agency job, sometimes earns more money than I do. My job that I did before I was a doctor, working with autistic children on a Sunday, I'd earn more money than I do.
Wow.
So, my hourly pay is obviously I work all the God-given hours under the sun. Yeah. So I think as a salary at someone my age, my salary isn't terrible. But that's because I work every goddamn hour under the sun. Do you know what I mean? I work every single hour under the sun. So actually, if I just worked my regular 9 to 5, you know what I mean? It's not. So there's all these stigmas that come along with, oh, doctor, you earn loads of money, or you're really responsible. So should you be drinking? You know, do doctors smoke? Do they do all these things? Do you know what I mean? Do you go out and have fun? Do you go to festivals and you get drunk and have fun with your friends? Do you do that? Well, you're a doctor, so you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be doing stigma, man.
A big stigma that comes along with it, and I think that's one of my biggest problems that I'm finding. I feel really stupid saying this now, but when I was applying to medical school in year 12, I think I was 17.
Yeah.
And I was seeing this guy in London, and it was like your first person that you see, and it's like really cute and stuff.
Know how it goes.
Yeah. So and he asked me what I had applied to do at uni, and I said biology.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of that same stigma. I didn't want him to think that I was really boring and all about my books and didn't do anything that was fun. Because doctors, that's what I mean, if you're studying medicine, that's what you only care. Like we were just saying, doctors are expected to work out of the hours that I get paid to work, and expected to, it's okay if I get paid till 5, it's still 7 o'clock and I'm here. No one questions it, because that's what you're meant to do as a doctor. You're meant to, come and work early and leave work, like that's just what you do. And so, I didn't want him to think that I was really boring and only cared about studying and like just that nerdy little bookworm. And obviously that's very different. Obviously I've grown up, I was 17
and now I'm that girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the time that's and I think that's just that little bit of stigma.
It's funny because the flip side, there's girls that probably hype up their degree a bit more to make them seem a bit more like when they're speaking to someone. You're telling us that no, actually, it can actually be so intimidating because the stigma is so much.
Do you know what, guys? You've just picked up on something, the word intimidation. And I really want to get into this, if you don't mind.
Yes, girl.
It's something that I was thinking about the other day that I wanted to bring up.
Yes, please.
Intimidating is a really accurate word to use to describe being a doctor. It's very not intimidating, but intimidating to other people.
Intimidating to other people.
Especially as a young black woman living in this day and age, trying to navigate relationships.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate and blessed to be with a partner now that, is so proud of me and, shouts it from the rooftop and is actually like, yeah, exactly. But previously, men are intimidated by it. Men are so intimidated because I remember speaking to one of my friends once and he was like, Hells, I love you, but I could never be with a woman like you.
No way.
Because he was like, and this is where he was like, who's gonna look after the kids? Basically was what he was trying to get at. And for a lot of men, having a woman who is so, established, and let's be real, right? Let's actually be real. Yes, as a junior doctor, you really don't earn much money, but on the flip side of that, my salary jumps every year. My salary increases literally every August until I'm a consultant, pretty much. For a couple of years it stays the same, but my consultant. So even though I'm not earning, millions of dollars now, my career progression, I will get to a place where I'm earning a very, very good salary. For a lot of men, let's be realistic, I may earn more money than you in the future. I may be the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So that means if we've got young children,
yeah,
and one of us needs to stay home and look after the kids and give up work for a year or so,
yeah,
it logically doesn't make any sense for it to be me, because
yeah,
I'm bringing in more money than you.
Yeah.
Therefore, you've got to be the stay-at-home dad, because logically, if I am earning more money than you, why does it make sense for me to give up my job to stay home with the kids when I'm bringing in more money? It doesn't. And that's what you have with a lot of female doctors.
Wow.
A lot of people whose husbands aren't necessarily, if their husbands are also doctors, that's where you get nannies. That's why you find a lot of children of doctors have grown up by nannies, because, you know, mum and dad both have to work. But if a lot of female doctors with who have grown up and, you know, grown up as a doctor, met someone who married and what we call a non-medic, their husbands become the stay-at-home husbands, because it doesn't make any sense. And that, can you imagine what that might do for a man's ego, for a man's pride, for male pride? Real. And it takes I personally think it takes a different kind of man.
I agree.
To be like,
I agree. You do it because
you be the breadwinner.
Because my thing is, why should the woman, if that's literally what she studied for, what she did, why should, and that's her, and God told her, you're going to be a doctor. Like you said, a lot of men now, that's not going to run. Yeah. But then it's also like, well, why should I have to dim myself down? But like you said, as a man, you want to be on job. You want to be the breadwinner. We've always been taught provider. We've been taught the father provides, the mom's there.
Mum's there. She looks after the kids. She does the washing. She does the cleaning, and you know, it's mad. And I have, you know, when I was a medical student, so obviously going to be a doctor, I've dated people who have been so intimidated by my career prospect that they couldn't do the relationship. They couldn't do it, because, you know, they're so traditional in the fact that I must be the provider. I must be the one that provides for my family. When actually, you might not be the provider.
You might not be.
Don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that you don't earn a good salary.
Exactly.
But
you're not less valuable.
Yeah, but there's a damn good chance that I might earn more money than you. Like, that's a good, do you know what I mean? That's a really good possibility.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it takes a different kind of man to, I think, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to be able to, do you know what I mean? To settle for that. So, yeah, I think it's interesting.
That is very interesting. Do you think it's hard for women? Now that you're saying this, I wonder if they find it hard in terms of dating and...
As in for women...
who are doctors.
Women who are doctors.
And because, like you said, a lot of men are very intimidated by that title. I wonder what the dynamic is. I
do think it's harder for women who are doctors to date, because I simply for the fact that I believe that your job title is so powerful, and it you know, it holds a lot of status. And, you know, I think that you know, a lot. I've known women who are doctors who, when they, you know, meet someone, they go, I work in healthcare. They don't reveal that.
That makes me sad.
They don't reveal that until they get to know the person. Because a lot of people
will run away.
Especially, I think, at this young age. I think if you're into your 30s a bit more, and you know your people are now a little bit more established in their careers, it's a bit different. But at this age, we're with a mixed bag of people. I really find these kind of mid-20s age a really mixed bag of people, because you've got friends that are married, friends that have got kids, friends that are doctors, friends that are you know, still at uni.
So true.
Friends that have not really started thinking about a career yet.
Literally, you know what I mean? Single as a Pringle, travelling
the world, haven't got a job. You've got people who, I mean, are in different walks of life. So I feel like this stage where you might be dating a man that, you know, is not where he will be in 5-10 years time. He's at the beginning of his career, but he's not earning much money. He's not, do you know what I mean? And to date someone who is already so well established, you're a doctor, you're already on a good salary, as you are. I mean, like I said, as you are as a junior doctor, it's not a terrible salary, but you know, you're on a salary, and that's only going to increase the number of years that I'm with you. Here's me, not really, do you know what I mean? So I get it, and I really do think that it takes a certain kind of man to be able to look past that, and even a certain kind of man to be like, you know what, you do you.
Yeah.
I've got me, because I know.
Yeah.
In 5 or whatever years time,
Yeah.
I will be. I'm gonna be there too.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of men. It takes a different kind to be able to see that future, to be able to foresee that, and not just see in the future. Okay,
Absolutely.
well, you are more up than me right now. Which a lot of the you know. Men, I mean, I've only dated black men, so I can only say, but a lot of the young black men these days, it's all about being up. It's all about being up.
Absolutely.
And yes, right now I might be more up than you.
Yeah.
But give yourself, you know, I mean, 5-10 years time, we're gonna be playing this together.
Haille, you touched on something so important, and this is something that I always say, and it's funny because you're even reversing it back to this conversation in this scenario. I always say people never think about it's always the present, it's always the now, and because you're always thinking about the present and the now, and yes, you should to an extent, but you block so many things because there's no tunnel vision. You're making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions.
Sis.
I'll keep screaming out to the rooftops. And temporary situations.
Sis.
Temporary circumstances. You know.
Honestly.
And with that being said, Haille, what advice would you give to girls that want to be a doctor? And because you know what, I feel like women shouldn't be shamed for feeling this way. Even though I was shocked that you're telling me this, I get it. At the end of the day, you do still want a partner, you still want companionship, you know, and it's heartbreaking that you do feel like I can't reveal my biggest potential because that's going to make them in a way.
Because it's going to be intimidating.
What would you give advice to girls that want to do it, you know, but that is something that's lingering in their head?
I'd go for it. Listen, like I said, when I was 17, I played it down. Now I don't. Now I don't, because this is going to be me. This, you know what I mean? This is.
And it's only getting lit, and there's only so much of my life.
And you know what? If that man who runs away, he's not the right man for you, because there will be that man who shouts you from the rooftops and who is like, that is my girl.
Absolutely.
And you will find him. Absolutely. The man that runs away is not the man for you.
Amen.
That's not the man for you, because that's not a man who's thinking about being with you long term.
Exactly.
That's a man who's dealing with, I can't deal with the emotions that right now, if we go for dinner, you might have to get the bill, babe, because actually you've got more money in your bank account right now than I do. You can't be dealing with those kind of people, because that's not, for me, I'm not here for a short term thing.
Amen, man. And you're not a short term person?
I'm not a short term person. I'm here for
and majority of you girls are not a short girl person.
100%.
Absolutely.
So be with that guy who you know is so proud, and he's like, yeah, my girl's a doctor, and you know what, babe? We're gonna build.
Amen.
We're gonna build, because I'm not where I need to. I'm gonna be right now, but give me 5 years, me and you are gonna take over the world.
Amen.
That's what you need.
Absolutely. I think you're very blessed to be, you know, with my cousin. By the way, just disclaimer, she's with my cousin. Because Phil is a real one as well. I know it's gonna be. No, we're thinking, Benny, we can't give you the one shout out. But you're so blessed to have someone like him that has that mentality. I feel like, just to add on to what you're saying, I want girls that even if you don't find that person now, I want to promote being content in your season.
Please.
You know, maybe now's not the time. Maybe now this is the time for you to
listen. Because that was me for a long time. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I was only just getting content in myself when
until you met. But I feel like that's what happens, though, isn't it?
But honestly, it's like, do not put time or pressure on yourself. You really, I know people say this all the time, you need to be comfortable in yourself.
Amen.
You need to be comfortable.
You
need to be happy in yourself. You need to be comfortable in yourself. And because if you're not, that uncomfortability you have in yourself, you're going to be seeking that from that person. Absolutely. That person can't give that to you.
Absolutely.
That person cannot give that to you. And it's honestly also about being content and being comfortable and knowing your worth and not settling for anything.
Absolutely.
Less than what you are worth, because there's no reason for you to.
And there's no.
So, you know what? God has a plan. And you know what? I think one thing that the pastor said to me. And I don't want to be like a negative Nelly or anything, but it's something so true. You need to be content in yourself, because you know what? Marriage isn't for everyone. Marriage is not in everyone's foresight. Marriage and children is not in everyone's. It's not in God's plan for everyone. So real. It's really not. So real. If you spend your life constantly seeking for that person, get that again. I don't want to sound negative, but I need to be real, because this is something that I had to deep in myself. My pastor said this to me. I was like, man.
Yeah.
Because that actually might be me.
It even sounds upsetting.
It sounds, it upset me because, but I had to have that real conversation with myself. Because obviously, yes, we'd love for everyone to get married with children, but we know there are people in this world who are not married and who don't have children.
Even biblically, there's people that haven't been married.
Exactly, married and not children. So that actually, so you actually need to be content in God. Exactly. Yeah. You need to be content in yourself, because if you spend your life looking for that person, and if that's, and don't get me wrong, that's not to say that you won't get in relationships, that's not to say that you won't get with partners and experiencing, but we know that God is in control. Absolutely. So if it's not in God's plan for you to be married with children, and you spend your life searching for that, what you've wasted your life searching for something that was never in God's plan for you. Because actually God's plan for you might be to serve in a different way.
Absolutely. Which will give you fulfillment.
You.
God never wants you to be miserable. Yeah,
but God's plan for you might be to serve in a different kind of way, whether that's, you know, serving with the church, serving with children, serving with, you know, I mean, God's plan for you might be so different. Might not be how He wants you to serve. Absolutely. It's in marriage with children. I'm sorry, but I just have to say that, because I think that is something that is not, you know, people don't want to say, because it's like you can say like people aren't good, but it's true. It's the reality. It's not everyone. It's honestly the reality for everyone.
And you know what? So I'm so glad that you brought this up, and I know it might, because people might be affected by this, and I get that. And for that moment, you are allowed. But I feel like once you initially come to, because it is some people's story, and that's why I'm saying, you know, prepare yourself for it. But once you get over the initial shock, you dive into your relationship with God I promise you, I know it, I genuinely believe it, and I don't have to go through something to believe 100%. And know that the God that we serve is capable of giving you the life that you couldn't even imagine. So fulfilled. So Hayley, big up you for even bringing that up.